But yeah, there are some characters where, and I do this kind of in every cast, where I find something to put that I relate to with that character, and I inject my own story and experience into them. I think that's a lot what a lot of writers do.
If you don't recognize what is holding you back, or if you don't recognize the skills you need to gain, then you're never going to mold yourself into the person that you want to become.
They won't have the full picture until the end of the season, and by the end of the season, most people got it. Most people would understand, and most people would get it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Final Marshmallow. I'm your host, Deric Jackman. Joined with me today, I have Cove, the man, the myth, the legend, Rizgod 2.0. Say hi, Cove.
Hello, that's me.
Oh, it's a blast. Last week, we had the opportunity to just kind of catch up on our lives. We talked a little bit more about ourselves. We even got a little deep. Um,
Crazy.
and so that was fun because it was very casual. We didn't have any pre-written questions for each other, and it really showcased our friendship and the dichotomy of that relationship.
For sure.
Uh, and we got to talk about things that were going on in our lives, such as me adopting kittens and things like that. But um, this week is a special week because we do have a topic that we want to discuss. But before we dive into that topic, Cove is actually going to be leaving out of town for the next couple of weeks.
Wah, wah.
So I'll be alone hosting these little podcasts, twiddling my thumbs, you know.
Sorry. Going on a nice trip. All expenses
you,
paid. Just kidding. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know what I'm paying for. So let's just say it's all expenses paid. Yay.
Oh, you're gonna be missed, man, while you're gone. But we actually will have a guest on that is gonna be filling in for Cove as he's away. He's gonna work as a substitute when either one of us are gonna be out of town or out of commission, just in general. But Cove, do you mind sharing with the audience kind of what this trip is about and what you're looking forward to as well?
Yeah, sure. My wife is Portuguese, and we are going to Portugal. Not because we're like seeing a lot of family. They don't have a lot of family left in Portugal, but um, yeah, we're going to Portugal for a nice like 10, 11 day trip. And we're ending it with a wedding back here in the States, and then coming back home. So it's gonna be a long trip. I don't want to give too many personal details about the trip, but it'll be pretty fun. I'm pretty excited. I went to
Yeah.
Portugal 2 years ago, with my wife and her family, but that was mostly just like a family circuit. So the first week I didn't really get to do a lot of sightseeing or much. We just kind of spent time with a lot of their family, which is awesome. Just getting to see like the culture there, and all the food is amazing. Um, but they stayed for a second week while I went back home to work, and they got to do all the fun, traveling and all that stuff. So now I get to join in on that fun. So I'm excited to see. Portugal is such a beautiful country. If you've never gone, or if you have fans in Portugal and you live there, your country is awesome. And I'm excited to go back.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. We
Absolutely.
well, let me ask you this. Outside of Portugal, have you been anywhere else outside of the United States before?
Good question. I've been to Canada, Mexico, uh, Ireland, UK, Italy, Dominican Republic. I think that's it. I think that's yeah.
Dang, this man is cultured.
Not really. Most of that was when I was younger, but it's yeah, I would like to get to more. I'm actually not that big of a traveler. I think the travel part of traveling really stresses me. Not even stresses me out. I just like don't want to do it. I'd rather just teleport. Like if you could just drug me, sedate me, and then I can wake up wherever I am going to, then that's my preferred way to vacation. I just don't like the travel aspect of traveling. I would rather not do that. I'm such a homebody as is, but like flying is fine. I'm not like scared of planes, but like just preparing for that whole like the whole thing of like packing, going to the airport, driving to the airport, going to the airport, going through the airport, sitting, going on a plane, getting off the plane, getting transportation to wherever you're going. That whole part is like pretty much a day in and of itself for most places. So yeah, not a big fan of that part. But that's it's a blessing to travel. It's a blessing to see other places. So gotta look at it that way and not be annoyed by all the small security measures that we try to take into account. So yeah. How about you? Have you gone anywhere else? You travel often?
I've traveled a lot within the United States of America, but not outside. I just
Oh,
got my passport this year, and it's high on my bucket list to go to Japan. I
nice.
really want to go to Japan. It's super high on my list. And I can't exactly tell you why. I've always been just attracted to not only the culture, but the country
Yeah,
itself since I was a kid. And so that's something that I'm looking forward to in the future. I plan on doing that either within the next year or the next 2 years.
nice.
Sometime within the next, 24 months,
Yeah,
I will be taking that trip to Japan. So if you had a superpower, you would choose teleportation because it's very convenient.
probably.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
you hear
convenience is a
me.
big thing for me. Sorry, not to just cut in, but
Oh, no
I
worries.
think the thing that makes me the most angry in this world are like the minor inconveniences. Like if I'm going to get water from the fridge and I like my hand twitches and the water spills everywhere, like that just like frustrates me to no end. So it's like the minor inconveniences of this world and travel I would say is an inconvenience for the most part. So like I understand that's like really silly and stupid, but it's just like I don't know, it's like a pet peeve of mine, like these inconveniences that I can't prevent. So yeah, whatever, it's cool,
This is a
I'm okay.
very specific scenario too.
It's happened many a times. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Little fun fact
fascinating.
about me.
If
Yeah.
Well, hey, I think teleportation would be a popular superpower if we had an a la carte of superpowers that people could choose from. Um,
For sure.
for me, I think that the ability to not sleep would be my superpower if it didn't
Really
affect me, of
interesting.
course, because
Okay.
I could be extremely productive, but I'd still have layovers. I'd still have flights that got delayed, so I wouldn't be
Yeah.
rocking with the teleportation, but again, I love airports. So,
Yeah,
I
yes you
love
do.
the melting pot that is an airport. You see so many different types of people from different walks of life and uh and I can find myself in the zone where I'm able to put myself out there and become a social butterfly, even though like deep down I'm introverted, but I'm just fascinated with people. And so I love airports because it just brings people together and everybody is stressed. Like everybody's
Yeah,
in the same boat. So I wish you the best of luck with your travels and I hope that you have a fantastic time as
thank you,
you
sir.
head out of the United States and abandon me.
I am very sorry, but you will be in good hands because I know our guest is going to be pretty much the perfect stand-in. He is you guys already know him, so I'm not gonna spoil it yet, but he's a hoot and a holler. I'll say it. We'll say
He's
that
a rock star.
for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Fellow friend of both of ours as well as a comrade in the voice acting world. So,
Go Shizzle.
um for those of you who want to take guesses at who our stand-in is going to be, leave that in the comment section below. And then if you guys want to see any other guests at all, also put that in the comment section below because we're always looking to network as well as bring people on that have similar interests to us because you can never have too many friends, right?
Absolutely,
Absolutely. Before this
absolutely.
podcast started recording, Cove and I actually discussed throwing in a new topic of the day, specifically a quote of the day. Now, Dan and I keep calling you Cove,
I
and
don't care.
that's just
Just
what
call me
your
Risk
audience
God.
knows you by. I know you by Dan. It's so weird. I feel like I flip flop between the two names, but um, we're always searching to elevate ourselves, especially in our standing when it pertains to our career. So we want to become the kind of people that are worthy of becoming showrunners, directors, producers, in the future. We want to run our own shows long term and helm our own studios. These are dreams of ours. And so really our life is a journey of education where we're trying to learn different soft skills as well as hard skills that mold us into the people that we would like to follow, right? We want to become leaders, not just managers, because managers manage things, leaders lead people. And I find that if you're good with people, millionaires aren't they're not the most talented people out there. They're just good with seeing talent in others. And they're able to unlock a smorgasbord of skills from their friends. I
Nice
feel like I'm
word.
really colorful. I'm very fragrant with fragrant.
Fragrant.
What's the word?
Fragrant. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, fragrant.
You are colorful.
With my language today.
Yeah.
But
You're throwing all the big words in there.
yeah. I mean, so Dan and I we study on our own. We study this craft and we try to dive deep into understanding this industry. But also on the side, we try to mold our own character. We're imperfect, we're humans, we make mistakes. And so we try to prepare ourselves for the future as much as possible, knowing that we're still going to fail. But at least we're trying. And so I've been reading in this really fancy book by Stephen R. Covey called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And Dan has had the opportunity to read this book before too. Before I share with you guys this quote that I came across today, Dan, give us your impression of this book. Has it impacted you at all when you were diving into its content?
So not to be a buzzkill, but I read it like 2 years ago, and I don't remember a lot. I don't I don't
Ah,
remember a lot of information from it. I'm really bad at retaining information from books if I don't write it down, and I did not write down any notes from this book. So I kind of just like it fueled me for a little bit. Like whatever I did take from that book, it fueled me for a couple weeks probably, and then naturally, as things do, it kind of fades, and I stopped thinking about it. I think maybe subconsciously something stuck with me. I couldn't tell you what came from that book, um, but I do know that I read it, and I should probably reread it. So I'm interested to hear kind of what quote you're pulling from today, so that it will inspire me to pick that book back up because I want to be a productive person. Dang it, I want to have more than seven habits and amazing qualities to make me a fantastic person and skilled leader.
well, this is fascinating, actually. It's really fascinating because I think that every person gets something different from the book. For you, it was the climate of the book, meaning like the energy that came from it, because it
Yeah.
does pump you up. You read it and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go conquer the world. I'm going to run for president. I'm going to run for the president of domination, world domination. No, I'm just kidding.
You never
Um,
know.
but it does pump you up, even if the content doesn't necessarily stick cognitively.
Yeah.
Um, for me, it's fresh because I'm reading it right now. But some of the content is extremely profound. It's interesting because, and I say this when I hire people as a onboarding specialist outside of the podcast. That's what I do for a career. Um, it feels like this book. There's so much content here where it feels like you're drinking out of a fire hose.
Mm.
Like there is so much information getting thrown at you all at once. It's kind of like making a new transition in your life, whether you're hopping onto a new medical plan, you're learning a new education, you're gaining a new education, or you're jumping into new employment. There's always that period of time where it's just an adjustment period. Those first 2 weeks are always the most critical and the most difficult because
Hmm.
there's so much info getting thrown at you all at once. This book encapsulates the essence of that exemplification. Like, there is so much content in every page. There is something new you could take out of it each time you reread it. And so, speaking of molding our character and becoming the men that we want to become in the future, I came across this quote today and it really spoke out to me. It's talking about paradigms,
Hmm.
having a shift in paradigm, meaning like you need to change your perspective on life in order to change your actions and behaviors. And so this is what I came across today. It said, To try to change outward attributes and behaviors does very little good in the long run if we fail to examine the basic paradigms from which those attitudes and behaviors flow. And I thought that was really
Mm,
fascinating because what it means is that if you don't recognize what is holding you back, or if you don't recognize the skills you need to gain, then you're never going to mold yourself into the person that you want to become. And so it's all about having that paradigm shift in your life. So if there's anything that you can take from that quote, you know, ultimately, if you want to change your behaviors, if you want to become a more skillful person or just a better person in general, it's going to come from within. You need to change the way you think about things, and you also need to change your desires. When you change your desires, then you can mold yourself into a better person in the long run. And
that's
that was
very
something I took from the book.
very
Yeah.
profound, and I can immediately relate to it. I feel I've seen, I'm a very routine person. I'm a very routine-esque person. I like to be structured in that way. I like to know what I'm doing every morning. And the most basic, simple example I can think of that quote is, there are so many times where I try to introduce a new or change up my routine or introduce something new into it, and then if I fall off or it ends up not going how I planned, and I think it's really easy to realize that came from, I might have just like outwardly been like, okay, I want to do this, I want to add this to my routine, I want to make sure I'm accomplishing this, but I don't really think about why, and I don't really think about what it actually means to be doing that, and nothing changes inside of me to like make me feel motivated to do that, or to like you kind of said, like point out what the change inside my mentality or whatever's in my heart or my soul. Be like, why do I want to do that? How do I get myself to do that? Like the why doesn't, I don't know what I'm saying. The point is, I think I understand that, and in that example, I want to change a behavior, but I don't actually change the underlying causes. So yeah, I relate to that, and I see how impactful that could be in our life, is to kind of look a little bit deeper. You know,
Yeah. Well, I think you nailed it on the head because we're all in the pursuit of happiness. We just don't know the most efficient way of obtaining that happiness.
yeah,
Some people substitute happiness for temporary satisfaction, and that never fulfills you in the long run. And so I think ultimately we're all seeking for purpose,
yeah,
um, a purpose to our own lives. And some people fill that purpose with negative things, and others, they don't. And you need to kind of discern what side you want to be on of the aisle. Are you going to perpetuate negativity into the world um, by exacerbating drama, or are you going to try and make the world a better place by filling it with something that the world needs, that people need? And I think that when you start to recognize where you stand, you can evaluate where you want to be and you can calculate how to get there. Um, and so I think you've done this. I think that you exemplify this, and I've done this as well in many different instances too, on more of a minuscule level. Um, I mean, neither one of us would have our own shows if we haven't done this, if we haven't reevaluated what it takes to be successful or to find success in the indie animation space. Um, but there's always a starting point. There's always a
yes,
place where we began. And you and I, the nature of our friendship comes natural to us because we started in the same place. Inspiration. You hear me say it all the time. Inspiration is the most powerful form of currency in this world. And I stick by it. I will stand 10 toes down on that. Um, there's a lot of really valuable currencies out there. There's time, there's money, there's trust. But I think when you inspire people to hop onto this grander purpose, then I think that you are benefiting humanity. And so, speaking of inspiration, I'd like to talk a little bit about your roots today Dan,
Nice segue.
aka Cove. Um, I'd like to learn a little bit more about the intellectual property that you started with. I don't know if you'd consider it an intellectual property because really what it is a spin-off, almost kind of like a fanfic, but it's its own series, and that is Total Drama Next Generation. Now, a lot
Hmm.
of your OG fans are gonna know what this is,
Yep.
and and they just got like this entire like business meeting, and now boom, let's talk about Total Drama Next Generation.
Yeah.
But for anyone who hasn't seen this property, what is Total Drama Next Generation?
Oh boy, I don't even know where to start with this. It was both a passion project and a silly little basement PowerPoint series. And one of the most cringiest things I look back on. I don't know. I look back on it with nostalgia, but also cringe. You gotta start somewhere. So I'm not gonna hold. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna give myself the grace. I know I was never perfect. I started this when I was in college, but anyway, I guess for some broader context, I kind of have explained this a little bit here and there throughout our first couple of episodes on the podcast. But my start in the total drama community was me making total drama my ways, which were just PowerPoint seasons. I was moving around PNGs with text box, using the total drama characters, and I would kind of rewrite the season. And I called it my way, but it was really just another way. I would make up my own storylines, my own dynamics, and my own elimination order, and upload them to YouTube for people to laugh at. And some people ended up liking it, but that's the origin of me as a creator. And so fast forward, I don't know, probably 8 years, something like that, maybe a little bit less than that, 7 years. And I commissioned. This is now my second original cast that I've commissioned. My first original cast that I commissioned was part of the Total Drama My Way franchise, I guess you can call it, where I did a version of Island, Action, World Tour, Revenge, Pocket 2, All Stars. I did Pocket 2 before All Stars actually, and then I had three original seasons. The first one was called Periculum Falls. The second one was called Periculum Falls Returns, and the third one was called The Concluding Catastrophe. It was season 9. That was the last show. But anyway, that's relevant because that was my first original cast that I made when I was in high school. I commissioned that first cast, the most basic, the most generic, the most uninspired cast of characters. I look back on them fondly, but it was just, yeah, really silly. But anyway, that was my first attempt at an original cast. When I got to college, I think I somewhat described this. I was a little bit isolated, self-imposed, going through a breakup and a move, and then transitioning to college, and I was a little bit by myself. So about my second year of college, I ended up commissioning another cast of characters, my own original characters for my own brand new series, Jason the Total Drama. It was called Total Drama Next Generation, and it was pretty much a sequel series to Total Drama. It was, you know, transitioning out of the My Way franchise and into my own more original, quote in quotation marks, because it's still Total Drama, with the lore of the My Way franchise still relevant. So it's all that to say, yeah. So I did 7 seasons of Next Generation with I think over 40 characters, 40 original characters, and it went on until 2022 or 3. I don't remember which year, but I think 2023. But yeah, it was my little passion project. It was kind of what I wanted out of Total Drama. What I wanted more. It was a little bit more mature, a little bit vulgar. I would never be as vulgar now as I was in that series. High school and college kid. Mind goes wild. And yeah, it was more strategy focused and all that good stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It was a conglomeration of a lot of things, but it was where I got most of my I don't want to say notoriety because it wasn't that big, but it's where a lot of my OG fans would know me from.
Yeah. I remember back in the day scrolling through YouTube, and on the For You page, no, that's TikTok, the trending page, I don't know, where they
Homepage,
recommend,
yeah,
the
yeah,
algorithm recommends like certain videos to you.
yeah,
Um, I used to get recommended your videos all the time.
Nice.
So I knew what the thumbnails looked like, and I knew
Yeah.
what the general design looked
Terrible,
like.
by the way.
Um,
Yeah.
well, you know, you were inspired by the story you were telling, and you were the grandfather of PowerPoint presentations in the total drama community, which became, I mean, it was a wildfire within this specific subgenre where I felt like I started to see a ton more PowerPoint shows just kind of come out of the woodworks. But you were the grandfather of it all. So tell me a little bit more in detail about how Total Drama Next Generation came about and what was the original spark for it?
Yeah, I think,
Like you mentioned that you had a
mhm,
breakup
yeah.
and you were in college, you were bored, but let's dive deeper into that a little bit more.
Sure, I'll do my best. Um, yeah, I think I've mentioned it a few times on the podcast, but there have been phases in my life where I've worked on this hobby of mine, making PowerPoints for total drama, uh, in lots in waves. Like I would do it a lot, and then feel like I need to stop. I'll take a break, and then I'd a month later get an itching to come back and do it, and then I'd do it again for a couple years, and I need to stop. And so right before next, right, my senior year of high school is when I kind of took that last stop. Um, and I was like, I didn't really do anything all of senior year as it relates to this hobby. And then I got to college, and again, preceding college, my first breakup ever. Moving states, like 2.5 hours away, 3 hours away, and then starting college. And I'm already an introverted person. I'm already a timid person, so it was a very big transition for me. Three big life events happening kind of simultaneously put me in a little bit of an emotional funk, and didn't really have the energy or motivation to socialize a lot. I did. I had some friends and all that. I'm not going to say I was just in my dorm 24/7. That's not the reality. But I wouldn't be able to make characters based off people I knew in college if I didn't actually also socialize as well. But a lot of my time and energy and time or thoughts kind of centered around what I always resorted to when I was feeling creatively deprived and alone or bored or isolated or whatever. And it was these total drama my ways, these total drama PowerPoints. And so my freshman year at college, I kind of dove back into the my ways. I finished recreating all the original seasons, and then Um, I think I finished with the concluding catastrophe. I ended up finishing that last season during my freshman college year. And I did some spin-offs and yada yada whatever. Ran some camps. That's when I first ran some total drama inspired camps over on Skype, the good old days. And then my sophomore year hit, and going into that year, I was kind of like I was kind of tired of using the same total drama characters. I kind of wanted my own character. I wanted characters. I wanted my own series that I could really call mine and really like foster without the pressure and the expectations of specifically total drama. And so I created this concept of the next series being called the next generation of total drama. Pretty on the nose name if you're thinking about it. And so I commissioned a cast of 20 characters. Um, found shout out Psycho, Let's Go Psycho on DeviantArt. Found her. Worked with her for both my original casts, my first cast and my second cast. And yeah, I kind of just took a lot of inspiration. One of the characters was modeled off of me a little bit. One of them was modeled off of the first friend I made in college. One of my roommates' friends, Cosmo. If anyone knows who Cosmo is, he was based off of a person who I had one ever interaction with in college. That's how much of an impact he made on me. Um, yeah, it was just like these characters were just a culmination of people I kind of met throughout my first 2 years at college, and I just wanted to I just was stuck in the total drama trance, and I wanted to make something that was my own and something that was unique. And what I really wanted out of total drama at that time, which was, like I said, a little more strategy, a little bit more maturity, a little more. Um, I just wanted to explore other stories. So yeah, that's kind of I think the origin of Next Generation and kind of where it came from as far as where I was at in my that point in time in my life.
Well, it sounds like you wanted to kind of elevate this niche genre. You talked about how you wanted it to be a little bit more mature, but I want to dive deeper into that again. So I hope you
Yeah,
don't mind. I'm just going to
keep it,
keep
keep
diving.
going.
I'm
Yeah.
scratching at the wall right now, hoping
Yep.
that eventually I can get through it and see the other side.
Sure.
And so, what made you want to make a full series rather than just consuming it as a fan?
That's a really good question. Well, I think the easiest part is that there was no new seasons. After I think Redonkulous Race came out after it was during my senior year of high school, in the fall of my senior year, I believe. And so after that, there was no total drama, and we didn't get news until Drama Rama was announced. And at that point, we were pretty much like, yeah, it's not coming back. Um, so I was just kind of at the point where I was really used to creating it, and my ability to enjoy total drama, I think, got changed because of how much I was writing my own versions of it and was thinking about the intricacies of the elimination order and storytelling in the genre and all that. And so I didn't really find anything else to be as stimulating as I wanted it to be from a consumer standpoint at that time. And it's not that PowerPoints are really stimulating either, but it's the best I could do with my skills and my talent and my money that I had. So yeah, I think it just came from a if nobody's gonna make it, I guess I'll make it sort of mentality. And I didn't have a problem with it because I think I enjoy writing it at this point. I definitely enjoy writing for total drama more than I enjoy watching it at this point. Actually, that might be a lie. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's harder for you to enjoy it once you've worked on it, once you've written for it so many times. Just because you're the way you consume it is definitely different afterwards. But yeah, I think that answers your question.
It does. And it makes things a lot more personal. You had mentioned that you had inserted uh, a character that is based on yourself.
Mhm.
Outside of that character in the Next Generation cast, are there any other characters that you relate most to or that are most personal to you?
There was another character named Brendan. He was based off of a kid I knew in high school. Similar name, same name. And I actually attributed um, that character's backstory. It was actually just my own. Like that character had lost weight in high school and became more buff and more athletic. And he didn't. It took him a while to fully come to terms with the social dynamics that were changing around him because of that, and have people taking him more seriously and talking to him. And that was something that I experienced in my high school career. Um, I lost weight going into my junior year of high school, and all of a sudden, people were acknowledging my existence more. So I thought that that was something interesting to kind of examine. But yeah, there are some characters where, and I do this kind of in every cast, where I find something to put that I relate to with that character, and I inject my own story and experience into them. I think that's what a lot of writers do, and what a lot of people like tend to do. But I would say that's the most jarring or the most extreme example. But there are a lot of characters that I feel like I kind of explained with the Reality Resort episode we did. A lot of the characters are really rooted in my dynamic with them and their real life inspiration. That is. So, like I said, one of the characters, her name was Casey. She was based off of my first college friend that I made. Like another guy, Cosmo, who was based off of this guy in my dorm who I had one interaction with ever, and it was just profound enough to make me want to realize him as a character. And yeah, I think there are a lot of other characters as well that I'm just not naming, but especially for those first iterations of custom casts, it took me a while to kind of find my footing as far as how I wanted to create the characters. Because some of them, like there's this guy named Octavio who's a bald nihilistic kid, and I'm like, I don't
Got
know,
a green sweater, right?
that's him. Yeah,
I remember his design.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it stuck out like a sore thumb because of how different he is. And but
Yeah.
I knew nobody like him. I mean, I was probably a little bit nihilistic at some point, or at least agnostic. And so maybe that's where that came from. But um, yeah, you know what? Maybe I just talked myself into realizing that there was a part of me that I could see in Octavio. But anyway, all to say, a lot of these characters were just random. At some of these characters were random. Um, so yeah, I think I lost the point, but yeah,
You lost the plot. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
lost the plot.
For those of you who are tuning in to just the audio version of this episode, you're really missing out. Um, the full video is posted on the Patreon, which also supports Cove's original show, Reality Resort. But speaking of Brent, Was it Brent, the guy with the muscles?
Brendan.
Brendan.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I'm looking at Brendan right now, dude. I Everybody else there, they don't get the eye candy that I get right now, where I get
Ah,
to see the big bulging lats and the giant biceps, man. Like
stop.
you brought Brendan to life, it seems like.
Stop it. I appreciate it.
Stop, stop.
Stop.
Now, Total Drama Next Generation was your that was your beginning. And obviously it came before Reality Resort, but looking back, how did making Total Drama Next Generation shape the way you approach Reality Resort?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think, I don't have the education or the experience of actually of writing. Like I don't have that educational background. I kind of just have always enjoyed writing and I've liked writing. And so it's not something that I've ever felt confident enough to really pursue. And I think Next Generation really gave me that opportunity to hone in on that craft and to give me the confidence that even though I didn't have the educational background per se, that I had some sort of innate ability to tell stories that people resonated with. Because there's no reason why a PowerPoint should have gotten almost 10,000 subscribers. Like it was silly. Um, but and again, so many people have commented on those episodes of how much they really enjoyed it. So much so that some people even comment consistently that how much they enjoy it more than canon total drama, which I find crazy to be honest, because those are actual writers and an actual production team that's actually creating an actual cartoon. So, yeah, I think Next Generation really gave me the confidence that I kept denying myself the ability to feel that I could actually do something like this full time and pursue it long term. There's that component of I think it gave me that confidence, but also gave me the ability to see kind of how much this meant to me, how passionate I was about it. I hid that passion for so long, and even like from myself, like I kept feeling embarrassed about how much I cared for it. And so I think emotionally speaking, maybe a little bit more introspectively speaking, I think Next Generation really gave me the permission to explore Reality Resort in that way. Because Reality Resort it really is a culmination of my love for the genre and for writing. On a more technical level and production level, I think Next Generation gave me a lot of experience of knowing what fans like and what they want and what they don't want in this genre. Just how to be involved with the community. I think that's also something that it gave me the ability to experience, and I think it also just taught me what I personally like to write. Like the first season of Next Generation was called Starlight Savannah, and I intentionally went into that season not writing any romances. Romance is just not something that I particularly care to write. I'm not really a shipping person. Like I don't participate in shipping culture. I think romance arcs are like the easiest thing you can give to a character to make them relevant, especially in this genre. And so I wanted to challenge myself because total drama community loves ships and they love relationships. And I wanted to challenge myself to make an engaging season that had nothing to do with romance. And I think it is regarded as probably one of the best, if not like number one or two best seasons of Next Generation from the fans that I've seen, in spite of it. And so I think that also kind of showed me just the untapped potential that this genre has is like, and how there's just so like I had such creative liberty with it because not a big enough audience was watching for me to get like ridiculed or like you know thrown tomatoes at, and I could really just experiment with a lot of different things. And so I think from that perspective it also gave me the ability to have the confidence again and the just the guts to kind of do something different with Rowdy Resort and to try out different stories and to see um, how far we can push this genre. So I hope that answers your question. Sometimes I talk for so long that I forget the original question. So I hope that answered the question.
No, that was a fantastic response to the question that I had. I think that it's interesting juggling the fans' open desires and your own vision as well.
100%. Yeah.
And and not to be too blunt or bold about this, but a lot of showrunners, such as yourself and me, we don't write this show for other people. I mean, we do to some degree, but mainly we're creating a world that we feel safe in and that we also want to create.
Yeah.
Um, and so I guess my question would be is how do you balance the desires of your fans with your own desires as well in terms of your overarching vision for your series? And that applies to both Total Drama Next Generation and Reality Resort.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that was kind of how I handled Next Generation without really knowing it. It was to that exact point of like I was not writing for the fans. Like I knew what the fans I took in what the fans liked about it, what they didn't like about it, and same with Total Drama, the canon Total Drama. But I never once changed anything because I was writing, editing, and uploading in real time. So I always had the ability to change something um, in real time once I saw the response to from the fans to it. Um, that's not the same now for Reality Resort, but that was what the status quo was pretty much for next gen. And I think I can only name one time where I actively changed something during the airing of a season, and that was it because I was so confident in the story that I wanted to tell, and I had to keep telling myself that people don't have the full picture yet. They won't have the full picture until the end of the season, and by the end of the season, most people got it. Most people would understand, and most people would get it. And I think a perfect example of that is in season 7, the last season that I did. Um, there was a saboteur, whatever, however you say it, someone who was kind of pulling strings behind the scenes and uh, manipulating everybody and causing pretty much every elimination, and nobody could figure it out. And I kept it hidden from the audience. I wanted to try something different, and they the character that it ended up being, everyone, no, not a lot of people actively thought it was that character, and so that character was kind of just being strung along and kind of just like ended up getting to the final three, and people are like, "What is that character doing here? Like, get that character. Like, they're doing nothing. They're adding nothing. Why are they here?" And then I had to face that criticism and that feedback for like multiple episodes in a row, and having to tell myself like this. I just gotta trust the process. I have to trust myself and my instincts here that this is going to pay off. And lo and behold, that person got third place and they got exposed in the episode, and the comments were like, I can remember vividly some of the comments were like, let Cove cook. Like why did we ever doubt you? Like,
Let Cove cook.
yeah, like yeah, it's just they all a lot of them ended up loving it. Not obviously not everybody's gonna love it, and I'm not here trying to say that I'm a perfect writer by any means, but I think to me that just kind of proves the point of if we were to pander to the audience, I think sometimes the audience doesn't always know what they want. I think they know what they want. But at the end of the day, it's our show, and they think it's going one way, and if you just give them everything they want, then they're going to say it's predictable, or that it's not creative enough, or that they'll continue to find ways to criticize or to find something wrong with it. So at the end of the day, if I'm creating something for the fans, like why am I even creating it at that point? It doesn't fulfill me creatively if I am doing something just to pander to an audience. You have to. I've said this before again on podcasts, but in order to tell a story, you need a story to tell. And if you're telling a story on behalf of other people, and because you think that's what they want to see or hear, then you're not. I ultimately don't think that's going to be a successful story. I think you need to be able to know what you want to say, know how you want to say it, and try your best to get it across. It's not always going to land, but I think that's something that I've identified even as far as back as Next Generation is something that I'm able to, while it might be difficult throughout the process of a season, seeing people react into certain ways without knowing how it's going to end. That's obviously part of the whole process, right? I think ultimately you just kind of got to trust your gut and trust your instinct and know that the story that you're telling is worth it and is the story that you want to tell, and people will resonate with it. And that you just might need to give them a second to kind of realize that. So again, I think that answers the question. I don't know at this point, but yeah.
It does. It totally does. One thing that I've learned from what you just said is you need to be your number one fan. You need to believe in yourself, you need to believe in your vision, but you also need to be humble enough to take constructive criticism from those who add value in your intellectual property and they want to see it succeed
Yeah,
as well. And so, but at its core, you need to believe in yourself. You need to have faith in yourself.
absolutely.
So, one final question that I'm gonna leave us off on, and that is, what would you want first-time viewers to walk away feeling after they watch Total Drama Next Generation?
Well, I know they're gonna feel cringe, but I don't want them to feel cringe. That said, I think really at the end of the day, Next Generation, I just want anybody who watches that to walk away feeling, wow, this guy really cares about this show. Like this guy really cares about this genre. This guy is passionate. Like that's, and I don't want to make it about me because I know that's like maybe one part of this of the puzzle is uh, that they see the passion, and you can it's a PowerPoint series with text on the screen and sliding PNGs. It's nothing fancy. It doesn't really look that great, but it gets the job done to tell a story. It's a glorified animatic essentially, not even as good as an animatic would be. Um, so that's one part of it. Is that wow, I can see the passion from this. The second part would be I just want them to be able to feel seen and heard and known, understood, related to. I think there are so many characters in the show that go through real, experiences, and I think that's something that has transcended through Reality Resort is how much I value the relatability of the human experience and how much I want to convey that through this, spoof of reality TV. Uh, so I think that's the other thing that I would want people to walk away feeling from if they ever get around to watching a PowerPoint series on YouTube is yeah, they feel the passion exuding from the creator and they can see themselves in at least one of the characters, and just feel heard or seen, known, understood, and just walk away feeling good. You know,
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that. And it sounds like your motivations and intentions are in the right place. If you want to see Dan's writing career evolve, um, start with Next Generation. Go through that series and then make your way back to Reality Resort. And then you'll get to see his career blossom and evolve in real time from then on. But it's really cool because you let us be a part of your life by creating this content. There's a lot of very personal experiences that you put into characters and you display in your show through certain plots and storylines. And so I think that there's a lot of value in, as you said, the human experience. And that's really what you're putting onto our television screens, onto our computer screens, onto our iPhone screens. And so, for those of you who have the opportunity to go back and watch that, I think you're going to get something from it. So, I would encourage you to go back, support that show. And that leads me right into the actual question of the day, which is for those of you who are fans of Total Drama Next Generation, who's your favorite character and why? Why do you relate to them? Why do you like them? Why were you rooting for them? Leave that in the comment section below.
why was it
Dan, do you want to
Octavia?
sign us off?
Just kidding. Um, yeah, no, thanks for letting me just gush about my silly little PowerPoint series that I'll never stop calling my silly little PowerPoint series. Yeah, I hope you guys got something out of this, and it's fun to take a trip down memory lane and see where it all started. Don't feel pressured to go watch it. It's really not that great. But if you do want to see me specifically, my writing evolve and kind of where I started, then I think it's a fun opportunity if you got some hours to kill on a weekend. You can put the text on 2 times speed and still read it for most of you. So um, they're like 20-minute episodes. There are some that are longer, but anyway, all that to say, I appreciate Deric for you humoring me and allowing me to give some of the fans what they want. I don't know how many fans, that wanted this, but at least some did. And so yeah, I appreciate it. If you guys want bonus content, early access, and the ability to ask us questions, feel free to become a member of the Patreon. You'll also be able to see our faces, our glorious, glorious faces in this never changing reality resort background that is behind me. Um, Also, we are starting our new Kickstarter campaign for episode 16 through 18 of Reality Resort, launching alongside episode 13 of Reality Resort, coming at the either end of June or early July. Haven't finalized the date yet, but by in a week's time it'll be finalized probably. So yeah, if you want to help us finish out the season strong, then go ahead and go support that by either backing the campaign or sharing it. The pre-launch page is live now if you want to give that a follow. It really helps us out. Otherwise, yeah, I'll leave it off to Deric to close us off here on this beautiful episode of the Final Marshmallow.
Well, thank you. That was very eloquent. I appreciate that.
Of course, sir.
Well, thank you so much, my fellow jury members, for following us in our careers as we try to navigate this new era as we watch this industry change. It's fascinating. We are in a very unique dispensation of this
Nice.
industry. And so there's a lot going on right now, a lot of changes. Indie animation is on the rise. And so we're grateful for you tuning in to our podcast as we talk about indie animation and also talk about our own stories. And so if you want more content, obviously go over to the Patreon, like Dan said. But if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, I would also encourage you to smash that subscribe button. Actually, as David would say, smiggity smash that subscribe button and hit that bell for post notifications. I'm Deric Jackman, and this was Cove, aka Dan, and we are the Final Marshmallow. Have a great week, my fellow jury members.